any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel.
All right, these are your favorite videos. These are all of the most recent meltdown clips out of Fox News, CNN, and a little bit of MSNBC. Now, if you could do me a very big favor before you sit back and relax, please like the video. You don't even understand how much that helps. You don't even have to subscribe. Please like the video. It helps other people see these meltdowns. Now, let's get into this video. The first clip speaks for itself. It's the LA Fire Department chief talking about how her leadership has let her down.
Let me be clear. The $17 million budget cut and the elimination of our civilian positions like our mechanics did and has and will continue to severely impact our ability to repair our apparatus. So with that, we have over 100 fire apparatus out of service. And having these apparatus in the proper amount of mechanics would have helped. And so it did absolutely negatively impact.
Now, when this news story came out, this was massive because the narrative was Donald Trump, Elon, all of these conservatives, they're trying to turn this into a political matter. Then all of a sudden, the LA fire chief said, no, that $50 million they're talking about was an issue, to include the water not being filled up in those reservoirs. So again, the LA fire chief actually gained some fans in the conservative community as far as being on her side. Now, a lot of people can't stand her right now, but I just want to give you guys the full narrative.
I worked very well, as you know, you made that point as it relates to the Woolsey fire and the Camp Fire when we first met, ironically. We worked very well during COVID. And so that's my intention, has been from day one. We've said 100 times, open hand, not a closed fist. We're also not naive.
Now, this is actually comical because if you are unaware, Gavin Newsom, yes, he's saying me and Donald Trump, we've worked really well in the past, but we are not naive. What he's talking about is California set aside a budget, I think it's around $25 million to $50 million, just in case they need to countersue or go to court against Donald Trump if California doesn't get their way with Donald Trump. It's a little bit ironic, if you will. But speaking of somebody you don't want to go to court with, here's Kash Patel on Fox News.
And I'm here to announce on your show a measure that I'm working with Congress that should be Congress's bread and butter. And I'm calling for the subpoenas to be issued to Judge Merchant's daughter's company, who made $15+ million from the illicit information pouring out of her father's courtroom. I want to know the bank records because money doesn't lie. Yep. I want to know how deep it is and how much of it went to the family and how much of it is going to the family after this false conviction. And then we need to investigate the FEC actual violations that this judge and his family conducted, because he should never have been overseeing this trial to begin with because of the illicit campaign money that was flowing through there, and the unconstitutional due process violations are only the beginning. So America is calling for accountability of our judicial system.
One thing I want to point out is that the entire news cycle is obviously focusing on the LA fires right now, and it's very easy to forget what just happened with Donald Trump. That's why I think it's so crucial to have somebody like Kash Patel be involved with the media and have a public voice like he does, because he always remembers the past and he always looks at the minor details to remind us, look, there are some sketchy things going on right now.
That he thinks the devastating wildfires are a part of a globalist plot. And so now we're back in this vicious cycle where Trump and his new bestie push lies about a natural disaster, and then right-wing media runs with them.
So yeah, according to MSNBC, a lot of the LA fires issues is due to Donald Trump and due to Elon Musk. Now, the irony behind all of this is that Elon Musk has literally deployed Tesla Cybertrucks for free in the area in order to have mobile internet stations connected to Starlink for the fire department and for the residents. And also the irony is that if anybody is going to provide the funding or sign off on helping California, it's going to be Donald Trump. So I wouldn't hate on him too much.
And our adversaries and competitors are weaker across the board. Russia's weaker, Iran's weaker, China's weaker, and all the while we kept America out of war. So I think the American people are safer and the country is better off than we were 4 years ago. And we're handing all that off to the next team, as well as having the engines of American power humming, our economy, our technology, our defense industrial base.
I have no idea why CNN is still trying to produce these news segments that everything is going great, everything is fine. I have no idea why the American people are upset with Joe Biden. Again, I'm really getting bored of these news segments, but they just keep producing them. I have to show you guys what CNN and also MSNBC, they're trying to convince or try to show the American public.
I don't know. I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
Okay, so of all people, Mel Gibson has really been in the news right now talking about the LA fires. He was on the Joe Rogan podcast, Fox News, and other major broadcasts, talking about the convenience of how everything has been going down. He talks about how his son is a volunteer firefighter catching arsonists dressed as firefighters, starting fires. Anyway, it's quite upsetting, but I just wanted to show you guys that Mel Gibson is in the media, so if you see clips of Mel Gibson, this is what's going on right now.
And reservoirs, the reservoirs are completely full. The state reservoirs here in Southern California, that mis and disinformation, I don't think advantages or aids any of us. Responding to Donald Trump's insults.
We do know, though, from reporting here locally that one reservoir that serves the Palisades was not full.
And that's exactly what triggered my desire to get the investigation, to understand what was happening with that local reservoir. That was not a state system reservoir, which the president-elect was referring to.
Unfortunately for the Los Angeles and the California leadership, they seem to think that the world revolves around them. Like, oh, how wouldn't Donald Trump know that the one specific water reservoir was not a state reservoir? That was a local reservoir controlled by the local government, not the state government. You see, these semantics right now are getting a bit ridiculous. And Gavin trying to say, well, that's why I want an investigation. That is why a lot of people are starting to question the leadership in California. Not saying it's a cover-up, but what I am saying is it's the lack of accountability and then pushing all the blame to the people who are asking questions. Not only Donald Trump, but also Elon Musk. Like, why was that one water reservoir not covered by the state of California? Well, it was not a state reservoir. You should know that. Nobody knows that.
Data that shows the LAFD needs more help. We need 62 more fire stations. These reports also show that we've had a 55% increase in overall call volume since 2010. And guess what? We're doing it with less firefighters. I was also directed to develop a plan as part of a budget reduction exercise, and that could equate to $48.8 million. And I rang the bell that these additional cuts could be very, very devastating for our ability to provide public safety.
So now you can see why this interview was so important to essentially almost washing her hands, because I think she saw the writing on the wall that she was going to be blamed for all of this, when it looks like she already gave all of the evidence way prior to this disaster, where she already stated a disaster is going to happen. So again, this is why a lot of conservatives seem to actually kind of be on her side here. The DEI stuff, conservatives and Republicans will never get over, as far as why is that important for service roles. But again, I just wanted to give you guys the full context as to why a lot of people seem to really be on the LA Fire Department's chief side right now.
Who are humanitarian activists and others who are worried about these deportations, saying families are going to be separated, people are going to be put in tents and in terrible conditions. They have real concerns about the way you plan to actually mete out those things you're planning to do.
Now, I'm also going to give my warning. As we get closer and closer and to the day that Donald Trump signs that piece of paper to start the deportations, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This is most likely going to be the #1 news story covered, because I truly think this is going to be something we've never seen before. You're going to see pictures, you're going to see footage, you're going to see a lot of misrepresenting of what's actually going on. So I think that's why right now J.D. Vance and other officials are trying to go on a press tour to calm everyone down.
Yeah, so this term is something you're going to hear a lot in the next couple of months, the next couple of years, Shannon. Family separation. I think it's important. That's a euphemism. That is a dishonest term to hide behind the fact that Joe Biden has not done border enforcement. If you say, for example, in the United States, we have a guy who's convicted of a violent crime and has to go to prison, we want that guy to go to prison. But yes, it does mean that that guy is going to be separated from his family. That is the consequence of committing inciting violence upon your fellow citizens. If you come into this country illegally, you need to go back home. You need to have basic law enforcement. And what the Democrats are going to do is they're going to hide behind this. They're going to say that this is all about compassion for families.
Now, I will say, and you might disagree with me, you sort of have two voices as far as going after illegal immigrants and the whole family separation thing. You have Tom Homan, who's going to be in charge of all of this, who's very militant, very direct. He sees this as an operation to save the United States, and he already said he's going to be beyond very aggressive within the legal limits of what he can and can't do. But then you see J.D. Vance, a little more toned, a little more academic, using big words to calm everyone down. Look, it's not going to be that big of a deal. So it's going to be interesting how the PR campaigns go through this as far as combating the opposite narrative, most likely going to be coming from Democratic voices of, look what they're doing, they're separating the families, because Tom Homan says, no, we're not, we're sending them all together. Then J.D. Vance says, it's not really that bad, here's what we're going to do. I hope you guys understand what I mean.
Vice President Harris will be able to beat, you said Vice President Harris had a good shot to beat Trump. Do you think she should run again in 4 years?
I think that's a decision. I think she's competent to run again in 4 years. That'll be a decision for her to make.
Mr. President.
And on that note, Joe Biden now is on record of saying that he would have beaten Donald Trump. He's also now on record, as you just saw, that Kamala Harris, she's competent enough to run again in 4 years. I personally think Kamala Harris should run as the governor of California. I think she's going to win. I think this is her opportunity to get in. I think Gavin Newsom is not looking too good with the rest of Californians right now, Democrats, considering if he starts working with Donald Trump, they've created their own dichotomy of how could he work with the enemy? He can't do that. So that is why I think Kamala Harris, who's always been anti-Donald Trump, that's why I think she would win as the governor. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed these videos. There are way more other clips, but I don't want to waste your time, so I'm going to be gathering some more clips for you. Make sure you're subscribing, liking the video. Thank you so much for being here. We have a lot more work to do, and we'll see you guys later.